What's up, gamers? Mask Gamer here. Today I am going to bring you a quick video review tutorial and class setup, and it's going to be a long line of series here. It's going to be with each and every weapon in the game, as I have thousands of kills with just about every weapon in the game, and have played it more hours than I would care to admit, because I'm a nerd. Here we go with the M4A1. First I'm going to show you a spray comparison. This one is without any proficiency. As you can see, hip fire pretty much all over the place. It's a wide cone, and you know, it's close to mid-range, whatever you want to call it. Aiming down the sight, you can see there's a little bit of kick, but it's got pretty good accuracy. It's a pretty reliable weapon. Next one here is with the silencer attachment. Silencer attachment typically is going to make things a little bit better, but not so much on the hip fire there. Aiming down the sight, a little bit more accurate in my opinion. Pretty close, but still pretty accurate. But that does take away from your damage. Next one here is with the kick proficiency. As you're going to see, there's going to be quite a better cone of fire here. It's going to be a big improvement over it without the kick proficiency. So first tip and first piece of advice that I'm going to give you is put the kick proficiency on. There's no other proficiency that you need with this weapon. As you can see, even the aiming down the sight is a lot tighter. So if you want to be effective with this weapon, you definitely need to use the kick proficiency. So I'm going to go ahead and I put a little gameplay here together. Did this off the cuff. This was just nothing special, average gameplay for me as far as my skill level goes. Basically what I do is with my reviews here of these weapons, there's going to be a few different player types. One of them, the starting out from the bottom, is going to be the defensive. A lot of you will call them campers or pricks or corner campers, whatever you want to call them, but there is a role in this game, and it is a defensive role. The next one would be a more moderate or mid player, and basically that's the player that's, you know, a little bit more stick and move. They'll stick, move to a different location, get some cover, do a little what we like to call head glitching, which I know pisses people off. These people tend to have a little bit better kill-death ratios if they are a good skilled player, because, you know, they're aggressive, but they're not sticking their neck out for the team. A lot of these people you will see have less wins and more losses on their win-loss ratios, which is kind of interesting because they usually rack up big numbers. As you can see in this gameplay, I'm playing a little bit aggressive. My main play type and play style is super aggressive in your face. I'm always the first one out the gate. That's just how I prefer to play. I'm not saying I'm better or worse than anybody else. It's just how I have fun. I'm aggressive. With the M4, it is a little bit heavier of a weapon, and it does take a little bit more stick and moving. As you can see, it's you know, stop, stick, attack, get behind some cover, keep going, whatever the case might be. And then the third is going to be your aggressive player, which is obviously going to be your rusher. He's the guy typically running around for the most part with you know, submachine guns, an ACR, possibly a FAD, shotguns, things like that. So those are the three different player types. Now the way that you know, the way that I'm going to go ahead and go through this is I'm ignoring the stats that, you know, are in the game, that are posted on Call of Duty Elite. I'm ignoring all of that, and I'm basically telling you based on my experience, which, like I said, with each of these weapons, I have thousands of kills on a couple of different of my accounts here. This one in particular, I've got well over 3,500 kills with the M4A1, so I can definitely tell you all about it, how it feels. So hopefully you do find it useful. Feel this gun is it is a little bit heavier. Mobility's not that bad on it, but it is highly accurate. You know, when you are aiming down the sights, you don't need to worry too much about, you know, burst fire, worrying too much about that. So it is a good weapon for a beginning player. Oh, and here's my first Reaper here. And you know, it is a good weapon. I would suggest it. It's probably one of the better, not the best, but one of the better assault rifles in the assault rifle class. And as far as the attachment options go, I don't really mind the iron sights on this weapon. Some people like it. I don't mind it too much either way, but I do find that my accuracy is increased by using a red dot. And if you're not using kick, I would suggest using extended mags, because you will tend to spray a little bit more with this weapon. And kind of like I've already covered, next thing is the proficiencies on this one. You've got kick, impact, attachments, focus, breath, stability. I don't really find any of them useful other than the kick and possibly the attachments if you do want the extended mags. So either of those would be good options, but I highly suggest and think that you should go with kick. As you can see, the proof is in the pudding, and it's all about about how the spray and the cone of fire works. And then as far as the ratings that I am going to go ahead and give this weapon, I'm rating things on a scale of 1 to 5, being 1 absolutely crappy, 2s and 3s are going to be average, a little bit above average on the 3, and then 4 is going to be good, and 5 is going to be amazing. So with a possible score of 20, I give it a 4 for power. That would be the amount of damage you're able to inflict with the weapon. It is a high power assault rifle. You're able to do a lot of damage, take down multiple enemies with half a clip or a clip. So the power is great. Accuracy and reliable, pretty reliable gun. I'm giving that a 3 just because the hip fire on it isn't, it does lack a little bit of accuracy on the hip fire, leaves a little bit of room to be desired there. Movement, obviously this is a heavier assault rifle, so you're not going to be running and rushing people's faces as much with this weapon, although if you're good you can. So I'm going to go ahead and rate that a 3. And then one that I've created, other people will call it the rate of fire, fire rate, whatever you want to call it. I call it the first strike. And why I call it the first strike is you have, let's say you and another guy are rushing, both of you are sprinting toward the same spot. When you both stop and fire, the first strike is the ability for that weapon to kill the other player by getting the rounds off first. So I guess it would be the rate of fire, but I like to call it the first strike because I really hate losing when I'm rushing at somebody else and I lose a gun battle based on the speed of the first strike. So I give it a 2 on the first strike because it is a little bit heavier. It does fire a little bit slower. So the overall ratings I'm going to give on this one is a 12, which is definitely a little bit above average. One of the better assault rifles, but I'd say this weapon is above average in the overall scheme of this game. And then as far as the game types on this, I would suggest this as being usable for all game types depending on the type of player that you are. So I definitely think that you can use this for every game type. I'd say free-for-all it's going to be lacking. For those, you're going to need ones with a little bit better of a first strike rating. You're going to need something that's a little bit quicker off the cuff, a little bit more mobile. So I'd say that the free-for-all, you probably don't want to use it as much unless you're just totally in love with the way that this weapon feels. And if it does, then by all means use it, because it all comes down to personal preference. Now there's another way that I rate these as well, and it's the skill levels of the players. I'd say you have a beginner, you have an average, and then you have the good players. I would say that the vast majority of Call of Duty players are going to be somewhere in between the range of beginner and average. I would suggest this weapon for a beginner player. Most beginner players aren't going to be rushing too much if they're not familiar with this game, or first-person shooters in general. So this is a good one to start out with, and it's also good for average players and for good players. If you're a good player, you can wield this with some pretty deadly precision. So I would suggest this for all players. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the preferred and recommended class setups for this gun. Number 1, you definitely need sleight of hand for most classes, in my opinion. It's a good trade-off. You need to be able to reload quickly if you're in the thick of things. I really think it's a necessary evil. Now, the first perk tier, there's not a whole lot there that you're going to need as far as with the assault rifles, other than sleight of hand. I know that some of you might disagree, and guess what? I don't care. It's my opinion, and like I said, I am an expert in the game. I've got thousands and thousands of kills with each and every weapon in this, so I'd say that my opinion does matter. And the second perk tier, a lot of people debate the importance of Assassin. A lot of people say you do need Assassin Pro. I disagree. I do. If you're a good player, you're going to be the one sneaking up on people. People are not going to be sneaking up on you. However, If you are a good player, hardline is definitely something that you can put to good use because it will help you get to your kill streaks a lot quicker. Be able to bust out your Reaper, your AC-130, or whatever the case you might be using. Hardline has actually become a staple in my repertoire as far as my perks go. And then the other one is Quick Draw. Quick Draw will definitely increase your first strike ability, will help you aim down the sight a lot quicker, as the hip fire on this weapon is not that impressive. So, you know, it really comes down to personal preference as far as those go, but I'd say if you are a good player, hardline is something that's definitely warranted, as well as assassin. For me, either of those can be a toss-up. You can really use any of those, in my opinion. And then the third perk slot, I think you really need Stalker. In my opinion, you've got to have Stalker. It increases your mobility rate. It allows you to move and bob and weave when you're able to. I just think it's important. So, anyways, guys, keep an eye out. Next one will be the M16, which you're going to be surprised at how I review this weapon. And if you have any feedback for me or anything else you'd like me to review or put together as far as custom classes go, let me know. And until next time, Mass Gamers out.